Hopefully the computer works. Hopefully everything works. Alright. Of course, I don't even know if I really should post to my server like, hey, yeah, starting a stream when I'm not even going to be doing game or whatnot. I'm just going to be sitting here chatting. I made a new little layout thing. Here's the layout thing. It's different. I'm going to be honest. It's weird. But, I don't know. I'm kind of here just wanting to sort of relax, chat. Not just, because, like, I'm not in a spot right now where I really have anything I want to play. Maybe I should probably check the server for Minecraft. That would be a good idea, but that's not a stream thing, so... let's see, has anyone been on? No, not at all. Oh well. It's how it goes sometimes. And it seems like Windows Media Player just does not want to work. Oof. My computer's really being slow today. First it was the laptop and now it's my main computer. Don't make me have to do stuff with you. I already have had enough within the last like few weeks of stuff breaking and stop working. Anyways, me and Fluffy were out all day and we stopped at a place and I got Pokemon cards. So I can probably talk about that. Oh, I left my phone all the way over. Way over here. Whoops. Who messaged? Oh, my friend. My online friend. So, yeah, I'm here. I kind of am sort of at a mix of I want to stream, but I don't want to game, but I want to game, but I don't want to game, but I want to also just talk and like doing something like opening this that I got today could be something I could do. It's the learn to play Let's Go Pokemon decks, which I believe have preset like what you can get, but like it'd still be something to do while like talking on stream. It's not something I normally do. And actually I may as well get my Pokemon card binders that I have right over here too, because yeah, why not? So that's a thing going on today. Why not, right? I have two binders for my Pokemon cards. My binder for my nice ones is good. The ones that are either good or valuable, and my Pokemon cards, which I actually have some bootlegs in there, which is pretty hilarious. I also have big cards, and I can talk about that definitely as well today. And I keep all of my energy and support cards, whoops, in a single little container here. Look at how pathetic that is. It's actually pretty full too. It's like I have tons of like energies in here and all that stuff. The only energies that I don't have much are other than like special energies is like I don't have a lot of like steel or fairy, and I think I'm pretty low when it comes to like psychic type energy. I don't know. I just know that I got a lot of fire energy because yeah. Anyways, so what to do? There is plenty of things that I can do. Not that anyone's probably going to watch this, other than like maybe after the fact. But, you know, I'm here. May as well put this under the camera and like open it. Right now I'm using my webcam that's normally like a front view as like the actual above view for this. So if the angle is a little wonky, that's probably why. Also, I don't really care too much about the main hour packaging because I'm gonna just throw it away anyways, I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's the one thing with Pokemon cards I usually don't keep. But I do keep other parts of it, which I'll go over probably as I open it. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, stuff coming out. So, on the back it tells you which deck has what sorts of cards. And it says, inside you'll find 2 decks of 60 Pokemon cards, each including 4 foil cards. Which, yeah. Let's see, 2 rulebooks to teach you the basics of one for each deck. Why is there one for each deck? That seems a bit wonky, but okay. And then 2 Metallic coins, which I have here. 2 deck boxes, 2 single player playmats. Is it these? Kind of want to see how that looks. Whoop. Ah, I see. Okay. Shows you where everything goes. Does this look exactly the same? Let's see. It's literally mirrored, but exactly the same otherwise. Okay. And then 2 damage counter sheets. Yeah. I don't think anyone uses those things. And if they do, I'm sorry. Okay, so overall, the main draws for me of these, like this set, which, let me just, is just the Pikachu and Eevee, which are cute. I am bad at showing things on camera like this. But these are sort of like, just sort of cute little cards that, like, these are definitely foily, I can tell. And, yeah. Metallic coins. These are definitely plastic like every other Pokemon coin. But they do have a nice little sparkly effect that I don't think I can really replicate on camera too well. You can kind of see it. But, yeah. So, I'll add those to my coins. Actually, I have another coin here, and I want to make a comparison real quick. Okay. For whatever reason, it felt like these were smaller, but I guess they're not. I'm just being weird. Also, yes, I have a Lucario coin sitting right over here. Don't judge me. I'm literally an open furry, so anyone that knows me should know that. I'm not going to show the Pokemon trading card game sets to anyone. That is for me. Aww. You okay? That wasn't even a squeak. That was like, you sound like you're dying. Are you going to be okay? Aww. Aww. Okay, so let's see, so toss that. Trying to be comedic here. I kind of want to make sure I know what music's playing as well, because that can definitely, I should probably also turn the music down a little bit because that is not the main focus. There we go. You alright? You gonna be fine? You alright? I know it was raining all day today. It's been raining on and off basically since me and Fluffy left from where we were at my over at my grandparents' house. So the top of the deck actually has the exact same foil. That is very interesting. So I did look at some of the cards, and I'm surprised that they just give you a few Moltres cards just for having this deck. Let's see, Flareon. I know that Fluffy would go nuts for this. Got Energies, Pokemon Fan Club. You got a nice Charizard and Sincere. And I believe their pre-evolutions is listed as well. Switch, Kangaskhan. So, like, when I'm looking through these, I'm sort of that person that, like, I am not much of a competitive player or anything like that. I like to collect the cards that I just like the look of. So, for example, the Eevee, definitely going to keep. Something like the Moltres, it's a legendary. I'm likely to keep it. Something like the Charmander, yeah, it's a first. It's one of those Pokemon that I like. So that's a sad picture, though. I mean, look at that. He's literally crying in the picture. But oh, and this Eevee card as well looks like one that's just. I am bad at. That is a cute one. But main point is, like, I just kind of collect cards that I like. I'm not someone that, like, goes to buy them just to sell them for a higher price or some. Which a lot of people do that, and I feel like that defeats the purpose of what makes them so valuable in the first place. I am not a fan of that. That does not look great in my opinion. Like, it's detailed, sure, but I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just weird on that one. And camera won't focus. Nice. Whoop. Anyways, just yeah, it's one of those, like, if it's a Pokemon I like and I like the card, I put it into my nice binder here, which, yeah, it looks like an Ultra Ball. While other cards I just put in the Pokemon cards deck, except for energies and trainer cards, which I put in this thing as mentioned. Come on, relax. Great Ball, Panseer. So, Kangaskhan. So I think that we've gone through basically all of what's in here. Yeah, because it's ends with an Eevee. I do like some of the cards for sure. And like, just buying a deck is not something I usually do. Now the question is, do I keep it as a deck or do I, like, not? Because I could keep it as a deck or I can add it to my, like, cards and cards. But I'm going to first go through the Pikachu deck and just kind of go through it too. I do not believe that the Pikachu deck has a legendary, but I could be wrong, and since I tossed the packaging all the way over there, I am not going to bother to check. Starts with the same Pikachu that's on, like, the cover, which is nice. Oh wait, Raikou. I forgot about the fact that this Pokemon exists at all. Come on. Focus, camera. Yeah. It's a nice... It's a picture of, like, him just kind of standing over. And it's kind of funny. The Alolan Raichu picture is nice in my opinion. Very tropical feel to it. And then energy. This Pidgey looks like a... it almost looks like a card that's, like, from one of the older sets in my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy, but that looks very familiar. Electivire. Okay. Blitzel. Very simple art. Voltorb. Oh! Oh. Starting to drop the cards all over the place. Oh yeah. Pikachu card and its cute chubby little thingy on that one. Actually fits really well with the Alolan too. Let's see. Electabuzz. Sure. Howl. Switch. Potion. Energy. Pidgeotto. I like the art. Electrode. Okay. Electabuzz. Voltorb. There's... yeah. Zebstrika. I am not good at Pokemon name pronunciations. I'm going to say that now. So, there is him. And let's see. So, Electabuzz again. Cynthia's here. Why is Cynthia here? Like, not that I don't like Cynthia, but what is the theme of this deck? We have How, who's a rival in what, like, Sun and Moon or something. I didn't play Sun and Moon or, like, a lot of the recent Pokemon games, I guess. But Cynthia is Diamond and Pearl, and barely makes an appearance outside of that. So, and the Pokemon fan club is, like, weird. Let's see. Voltor, Energy, Electrode, Howl. So yeah, that's basically all the cards. Yeah. I don't know much to really say about it. It's got a lot of nice cards, and to be fair, I got these for pretty cheap too, because the place we went to get it was only, what, $20, which I think is a good deal overall. Of course, if you think so or not is your own personal opinion, but what? You're standing on the bag. You're gonna just look at it after I toss it over there and just pretend that you didn't meow at me? Okay. He's being very yelly, so don't mind it. Don't mind it, Al. So, with those in mind, I need to move my keyboard a bit. May as well give a little peek into what the inside of my binder looks like. And yes, the first page is Riolu, Lucario's, and a Dialga card. Which, if you know me, that should make total sense. Because, let's see, I don't know a good way to really get this shown on camera. But, Riolu and Lucario are two of my favorite Pokemon of all time. It's why I play Lucario a lot in Smash Bros. And all that stuff. And Dialga being my favorite legendary, yeah. And if you pay attention, that card is like from the this one old set that was from like my childhood. And I even have the big card displayed all the way over here. So, out of frame of the cameras, but you know, I do have some other big cards, but that one's the oldest one I have and the only one that's from, like, you know, my childhood. Second page is mostly like legendaries, mythicals, and Ninetales and Hydreigon. So basically legendaries, mythicals, and what Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team's team would think is a legendary. So, I could probably actually talk about some of these cards. May as well show it. A lot of the cards are sort of just here. Like, the Reshiram and Zekrom are from like a set that I got that I also have the big card for Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem together. But, there's not much I can really say about them. The Mega Rayquaza EX is actually a card that Fluffy gave me. So that's one that, it's a cool card. I like how it looks. I don't have much to it past that. The Entei is actually the original like promo card from the movie. So that's a cool thing. Celebi and Victini are two of my favorites along with Shaman. So that's why they're very up front. And then when we get to this page, the Ninetales, I believe I have in here because it's a powerful card. I like Ninetales. I like the card, all that stuff. Sylve GX I have in here because I figured out it was a mythical, one of the newer ones, I believe. And I actually have two of these cards. And from what I know, these cards are actually ones that could, like, cost, like, people will actually pay money for that. I'm not gonna sell both if I do, just one, but hey. I don't have too many stories for the other cards on this page, really. See, because a lot of the cards on that front part is just whatever legendaries or mythicals I have, but there. Mew card. Everyone needs one. It's very hard to see it because of the glare, but yeah, that is in fact the Mew card. Even it says promo and it just has a number 8 in the bottom, which I believe that means it's one of the originals. Zoroark and Zoroark because I like Zoroark. Zoroark is okay, and I like to keep Pokemon's evolutions tied together if I do package them up like this. I like the card for Esper, so that's why Esper is here. Let's see. So this page has some of the more interesting stories, interestingly enough. So the Chimchar, Monferno, and Infernape were all basically from a old Diamond and Pearl like pack. So these are the original cards for that. This Chimchar was from a later pack, and I just added them. The Plusle and Minun are two cards that I got at different times, but I like Plusle and Minun, and so they were added here. The Vileplume here is a very interesting story because, and I'm going to actually take him out for this one, but this Vileplume card specifically is obviously not an American one. It is either Japanese or something. The back of it says Pocket Monsters. Pocket Monsters card game. Trademark of 1996, Nintendo, Game Freak, and Creatures Inc. All rights reserved. And I actually did figure out what this card is. I've had this since childhood, and what it is Team Rocket's Dark Vileplume from like the Team Rocket set or something. Now this is a extremely rare card as is, but I have not once found like anything online about this card specifically, like the non-English version. And I'm not sure where it came from or why I have it. And so that's probably my most interesting story of like all the cards here. I don't have too many interesting stories in this one. The old Charmander here is actually original base set Charmander. But otherwise, like, because I do have some original Pokemon cards, because I don't know, I just kind of have Pokemon cards that sometimes I don't even know where they came from. Like if they were from my childhood, I just knew I had them. And that's the case with like the base Charmander, and I have Squirtle and Bulbasaur too somewhere. The same with this page, it's just like keeping starters together, so I have Charmanders, Charmeleons, one Charizard. Wasn't there some Charizards in there? I could add to this page because of it. Same with like having Cyndaquil, Quilava here. And then if we go over here, you got some of the starters from like Lyn, Torracat, and Incineroar, which, to be honest, I'm not a fan of Incineroar, but I like Lyn. So that and also I wanted to just have the starters here. This page, there's not really too much for me to talk about. The Machamp X, I don't remember if that was one that Fluffy gave me or if I just opened that one, but I have it. Let's see. This page is one that has many interesting stories. So the Bulbasaur and Ivysaur are ones that I've had since childhood, and obviously they are the like base set ones. Dua is just here, but then you get to the Snubble here. Now if you pay attention, the Snubble is the brain just turned off, Detective Pikachu one, which me and Fluffy both have this card because GameStop was giving them out for whatever reason when that movie was coming out, and so we have it. Build-A-Bear Eevee, because I have a Build-A-Bear Eevee. And this Eevee is the old Eevee that I've had for a long time. Umbreon EX is a card that I believe is from Fluffy. And I'm pretty sure the other Eevees are just sort of there, but the Build-A-Bear Eevee is the interesting one in this case. Over here, Vaporeon, because I like Vaporeon. Sylveon, because Sylveon. Flareon, Jolteon, Espeon. Keeping all the, like, Pokemon cards together, and a lot of these are just like I opened them, I like them, I kept them. The Espeon, it shows like a Team Plasma symbol on the bottom, so that's interesting. I need more Pichu cards. This is the only one I have. And then if we go into this page, it's all Pikachu. and nothing else. 2 Build-A-Bear Pikachus, because, well, me and Fluffy have gone to Build-A-Bear way too many times. The reason why it looks like 2 base Pikachus here is because one's base and one's a later reprint from a different pack that actually adds more health to Pikachu and changes some of the like details. So I kind of just have them separate for that. Detective Pikachu, because same as the GameStop one, that one is one that got while Detective Pikachu was running. I have never bought a Detective Pikachu pack. I just have Detective Pikachu cards. This Pikachu I do like, and this one came from a pack that has the Galarian starters and focused on Scorbunny. Pikachu Libre, I believe I opened or some. Might have been for Fluffy, I don't remember. Got some Raichus here. In this one, not much to say about the Raichus. The first Piplup and Primplup are a little interesting because they were ones opened recently. This Primplup is part of that like Diamond and Pearl set that I've had for forever, and actually has been like just Primplup. That's all I had for basically over a decade, up until I got these within a year ago. Primarina, don't have the pre-evolution, but I like Primarina, personal opinion. Baneri and Lopunny, because I like Baneri and Lopunny, and I believe the Lopunny is a very old card too. Squirtle, Wartortle, of course, base Squirtle and some other ones. I don't have too many, like, other than the base Squirtle and Wartortle being original base Squirtle and Wartortle, I don't have much really to say on these, other than Volcarona, I found out later out, is supposed to be, like, rare, I guess. So, Routes, Curlia, Gallade, I have them here because I like Gardevoir, but I need a Gardevoir card. It's unfortunate. But at least, like, the cards for the Routes and Curlia are nice. I'm kind of about Gallade. Tia Fluffy would probably like these. And I actually have 2 different Scorbunny, so they're kind of split. But Scorbunny and the full line here, Scorbunny, Raboot, bleh, Pokemon names, and Cinderace. Because, again, I got that one pack that was... the pack that was basically Galarian starters, and it's focused on Scorbunny. Don't have too many stories for the other starters here, other than I have their cards and they're cool. Go over here, got Chespin, Froakie, Fennekin because I don't have their evolution cards. Bayleaf because I don't have the pre-evolution. So Manectric is a like Team Galactic one, and that's a card that I've had since childhood, so that's why that's here. I have this Scyther here because it's a reverse holo, which is when like the holo part is not in the art but in the card itself. Same with the Stamper, and I just think it looks cool. That's really it. Minccino I like, Vulpix I like, Morpeko card is cool. Not too much to really talk about on this page otherwise, other than I just like the card, or in some cases it's a reverse holo, like with the Mawile, Toxicroak, and Mantine here. Get over here, you got the Thievul. I have this because it's a reverse holo, Grookey and Sobble. And then I have the Shinx, and on the other side here is the Luxray. I actually, while I love the Shinx card, the Luxray here is why I have them both here. It's reverse holo, and I've had this card for forever, and I've liked this card. This is the end of where my main set is. And if I add the Pikachu and Eevee, I'll have to rearrange some things. Now, if we're going to talk about Pokemon cards, this is a binder. So, I will say, I have two very rare cards in here that I only have in here because this has a pocket. Sylvia GX, as said, I have it in a hard case, and if I were to sell it, this one would be the one to sell. And the other one is Ultra Necrozma GX. This card, from what I know, is like a very rare card, and one that, last I checked, could be sold for a lot. Now, when I go through the cards in here, a lot of these are just like, yeah, I don't have too much attachment to the card themselves, but I may as well keep them and have them here. There's a lot of cards here, and I don't really want to take the time to go through every single card like I did with that one, but I'm just going to like flip through it, kind of show what I can. Like, I know it's a bit hard to see the full thing, but like there's some things that are a little bit interesting in here. You have some cards that are like base set, some that are new set, some Pokemon that make multiple appearances because of the fact that there's just too many cards of them. Like earlier there was like 5 different Bronzor cards, which you don't need that many. And I have a bunch of unknown cards too. So that's a bit of interest. I have 3 Dratinis. Isn't Dratini supposed to be rare? But like, that's just sort of the point of having this, is because I can just sort of flip through it, be like, hey, yeah, I have Pokemon cards, and a lot of these are cards that I like, just not like in the sense of I want to have them separate and like all that stuff. Like, basically, this is the keep no matter what. These are the, if I want to start selling Pokemon cards, I'll start selling them. Yeah, 5 different unknowns here, so take that as you will. But yeah, so there are tons of cards in this one because I've just kind of gathered cards over like a long while. Not even sure how for a lot of them. And a lot of the newer cards I've gotten within the last like year and a half, 2 years. So there is a mix of like old cards and cards that are very new. I have a bit of a disconnect between Diamond and Pearl and current cards, because that's when I really stopped doing anything that wasn't Call of Duty, Minecraft, or Grand Theft Auto, to be honest. And that's a big time gap, so yeah. Guess there's not really too much I can say for a lot of these cards. A lot of these are like just I don't think there's that many like common cards. So this page, we're starting to get into where I gave up on trying to organize it by Pokemon, because Beware is here and earlier pages had Beware. So there is that to deal with. But other than that, it's, yeah, a lot of the Pokemon are just sort of here. Oh yeah, so that's the last page. So I want to go to the back of the binder, because the back of the binder is where I keep the cards that are definitely, I just said it. The cards that are sort of, God, I am stupid. Not official cards, but ones that are, am I this stupid? But basically, me and Fluffy went to a, flea market, and they had some Pokemon cards. Cool. And so we kind of looked through after the fact and realized that some of these cards had a bit of issues with them. It ends right here, but I'm going to back up a minute, because some of these are actually, like, they look alright on first glance, but then for instance, with the Pikachu and Zekron Gx here, it's one of those cards where it's very clear if you look at it. Not only is there no holo effect, but there's that white border that no card would have at all. That, and if you look way at the corner, which it won't focus, it displays a thing that says SM9 instead of the actual set that it's from, which usually is a good indicator that the card is actually a fake print, like overall. And if you get a pack that has that, you might be in trouble. Say, for example, this Articuno here has that SM9 and all that stuff. And the reason why some of these cards that look a bit more real are in here is because they came from the same packs. And so it's one of those cases where you don't want to mix the packs that have the bad cards with your good cards. Of course, some of these I could toss in with the good cards and no one would notice. And I might even have some cards that I might not know are like bootleg in my set and just not know it. I think the most hilarious is my Tentacruel here. Very good Tentacruel. What's weird is that this one, despite saying the wrong Pokemon name, gets a lot of our info right. But also, if you look at it, another thing that I also was told is that if you look at the Pokemon type way on that bottom, a lot of come on, focus for me. Come on, focus for me. But alright, I'll try to show from here. There we go. A lot of fake Pokemon cards will say that the Pokemon is the tadpole Pokemon. So for example, this bad Tentacruel is the tadpole Pokemon. And you'll see a lot of wrong types in this. So for example, this Alolan Graveler is the Angler Pokemon, which I don't know if that's going to be able to be shown. But yeah, it says that this one's the Angler. The Alomomola is a tadpole Pokemon. The Mega Mewtwo EX here was from that set. The, let's see, Salazzle is not a Fire Cat Pokemon. And I could probably go on going through this. This Squirtle, while it has the official artwork and looks almost alright, has that SM9 and tadpole Pokemon. Wartortle, Angler Pokemon. Weedle, tadpole Pokemon. If we go back here a bit, Alolan Geodude, tadpole Pokemon. Alolan Geodude, tadpole Pokemon. Chansey, flower Pokemon. That's not right. Primeape. I forgot about this card entirely. I need to show this one. Primeape. Very good Primeape, guys. The Angler Pokemon, who knows Tickle and is a fighting type. Ninetales, the Angler Pokemon. That's a thing that I'm going to have to look through all my cards and just make sure that it's actually right. If we go over here, these cards, a lot of them do look a lot better. For example, Meloetta is actually listed as the Melody Pokemon. And like stuff like that. But then you look at Articuno, and it's the Tadpole Pokemon. So that's what kind of throws out. Then also the SM9 thing, like mentioned before. This could also mean that some of these cards are real cards and some bootlegs were thrown in, which is an interesting idea, but, you know. Let's see, what are let's see. These ones on the very back are actually not bad to the point where they might actually be real. But again, I only have them back here because of how blatant some of the other ones here are. Like Moltres, the tadpole Pokemon. Anyways, in the very back here, I also have these cards. These aren't regular, like, Pokemon cards, but instead are Topps cards that were made in who knows what time by Topps. And I just happen to have a good handful of them. Now, I don't believe that they were, like I think they were made for the show. So there is that. I just don't remember much about them other than that I have them. And I honestly completely forgot about these existing until I found the Nidornio that I have here, actually. Which, let me move this over. This is what tipped me off to be going, oh hey, I have some Pokemon cards that aren't exactly Pokemon cards. These are still official. I just like to keep them separate, to be honest. So yeah, that's my whole thing of Pokemon cards if you don't want to go through my supports and energies, because I'd rather not either. Excuse me. I guess with all that said, this is something else I got today while me and Fluffy were out. A Pokemon model kit of Riolu and Lucario. This is something that she showed me, and I was like, cool. And then bought it. So, this will be like the first time I've opened up something like this. I think I've only tried to put together any sort of set maybe once or twice ever. How am I not affiliated yet? Because I don't have consistently 3 or more viewers, and I don't stream consistent enough, and I don't even have any sort of monetized system put in place to get paid. So those are why. Mostly the inconsistency and the fact that I don't have 3 or more viewers on average. In fact, with how I have my stuff set up right now, I can't even see how many viewers I have, and I don't have my benefit of usually having like 1 viewer from my preview view. So there is that. I have a PayPal. PayPal I have other issues with, to where basically they're asking me for my driver's license, my social security, and all that stuff. And so I am not, like, until I get that figured out, which I really don't want to do, I'm not going to be bothered with it. Or just pester 3 friends to keep your stream open. Nah. I've always said that, like, my stream is not entirely a serious one. And so that's why I'm here, like, instead of gaming, looking to put together a Pokemon model kit after explaining basically all of my Pokemon cards. Oh, this is gonna be weird to do. Okay. So, instructions, how to find the parts. Okay. So, time to... I should probably not throw this box behind me like I did with the box for the cards. Because I can use that to trash stuff. So, it says here how to find the parts. Says there are numbers next to the parts, which I can see. That's really why I did. Means you can only do it for fun and always have someone big. Well, the thing is, I've been rated like multiple times by people who are much bigger than me. Like, I've been rated by Tails VR. I've been rated by friggin' Shasta. I've been rated by big people. It's just I'm not too bothered to keep a consistent schedule, and so people don't tend to stick around. And I don't blame them for it either. Plus, streaming is not something that I'm consistent with. I don't like trying to be consistent with it. And I'm alright with just keeping my things chill and kind of on the small end. I don't exactly need it to be huge. Let's see. How to play stickers. Put the stickers on slowly and carefully. Thank you. But yeah, I'm good with how I have things. Okay. I'm not fully consistent. I just say I stream 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, that's fair. I don't stream, like, too often. I'm at that point of, like, I actually stopped streaming for a minute because I had too much stuff going on. So, yeah. Okay. Some of these parts, when they're all separate, just do not look right. Okay, so we start by putting together Riolu's head. Simple enough. B1. Where is B1? B is in here. If anything, let's see. Lately it's just been Pokemon Nuzlocke, then I branched out and just beat Paper Mario 64. Hey, branching out is always nice. I mean, that's sort of what I'm doing today, is instead of gaming, I'm just doing something else. But what I kind of stick to is, if people choose to stick around, they stick around. If they don't, they don't. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and if people choose to only stick around until I go elsewhere, then whatever. That's how things go. Oh, that's some little stickers on right there. Okay, so B1. I did not pop that one out. At you aside, that's definitely a Lucario one. Am I stupid? I mean, one of my first changes was changing the shell of my Pro Controller. Lasted an hour, lol. Also did 2 Pokemon card openings. My first stream was like friggin' years and years ago. I've been... Let's see. Oh wait, this is B2. I am stupid. Whew. My first stream was way, way back, and I don't even remember what it was. But, like, here's something that might be interesting to you. I've been streaming since 2016 on and off. And my first consistent stream was PlayStation 4 playing Grand Theft Auto 5, sometimes Minecraft. And then later I started playing Gary's Mod and CSGO. So, like, if that doesn't tell you how long I've been around, yeah. At the same time, after 2016, I had a real huge gap where I stopped streaming because I actually couldn't, because I didn't have internet when I was at the apartment in 2017. And when I got my first job, it was very hard to do any sort of streaming at first. And now I'm here, still having troubles with streaming, but yeah. I started with Pokemon Go because Link said I couldn't beat Whitney first try, but don't talk with him so well. To be honest, one thing I've found recently, not recently, but I've kind of known this for a while, but one thing that I figured out and I try to not think about is just the fact that, like, when it comes to people you meet from streams and video games, is that it's very easy for people to just forget that you exist and go do their own things. And I've gotten to the point where, like, if I'm in the community, cool. If I'm, like, later kind of forgotten, okay. And recently, I left basically every Discord server I had. I just pretty much left because I was having a sort of information overload where I just couldn't handle anything. And so I left every server, basically put a post on my server saying, hey, yeah, I left servers. Surprisingly, my brother and I are going to have Wi-Fi in our apartment day one. Hey, that's nice. That was one of the big things that I didn't have in my apartment back in 2017, which was a big reason why I stopped streaming at the time. And I didn't get back into streaming until 2019, I want to say, when I got back into Grand Theft Auto 5, and then I dropped Grand Theft Auto 5 and started just kind of joining in on other people's streams before finally joining in on Link and everyone else, and then just yeah. I mean, I talked with Link basically every day for a year, but when he met Sen and Star League, he basically ignored his original inner circle and replaced us all with Toxic League players. I don't have too much opinion on it. Again, I'm sort of that I'm not too bothered by it because I didn't expect much. I've been in and out of many circles that seem like they will go somewhere, and then people just sort of leave, do their own thing, and never see them again. It's not exactly a fun thing, but it's what happens, unfortunately. Where is the right one? Or are you supposed to just put the stickers right on the back of the ears? I think you're supposed to put them just right on the ears. I do not like that. But yeah, when it comes to like the League players, I didn't have much issue. I was just kind of waiting for Link to actually try starting up that like tourney, and he just never did. I don't know. I told him, like, just let me know when you start it. And so I'm just going to wait for that. And that's about all I have to really say about it. Let's see. Basically, why a bunch of us left the server. He stopped streaming, and when he did, it was all League, and it was student. Link doesn't stream at all. Before I left every server, I was still in Link's server, and he was streaming a lot more often on League. But he was streaming League. So, like, for context, I only just left all my servers literally this week. And so, like, I left links, exos, all that stuff. But I also want to make sure, like, if they're watching this in the future or whatnot, that me leaving the server doesn't mean I don't like them. They can still reach out to me anytime, and I'll be happy to hear from them. I know that I'm not going to hear from Link because he's, like, kind of lost. And EXO, I have sort of reached out to, but I'm not great at reaching out, so it's sort of iffy. All the Smash players, basically they left server, so there probably won't be turning. Same day you left Exos, I assume. I'm a mod, so I can see you left. Yeah, no, it was like the same day I left Exos is the same that I left Link's and Link's other one, because he actually does have two now. And same day that I left Shasta's and I Am Rocks and just about every other streamer's Discords and others. Yeah. If you want, you can let them know that, yeah, I'm still open to hear from him at any time, and that me leaving was not like a personal thing with him directly. It was I literally just couldn't handle how many servers I was in, and so I left all of them. Let's see, I know I didn't say anything, but I definitely had an alternate server. I mean, sometimes that's how it goes. Oh well. I hate applying stickers. I will say that. But hey, I got that done. So now his eyes are going to be right. And we're going to snap that onto his face. Now Riolu has a face. That does not snap into place. And I don't like that it doesn't snap into place. It's little Riolu head. No one knows of the alt. Well, now I do, and now anyone that watches the stream later on is gonna know. So, you're very lucky that no one watches the replays of my streams. Just wanted to pop in and see what you were up to. Well, I do want to say one thing. Don't go yet, because I put a video on my stream, like archive YouTube, basically. And in it, I kind of went on a very interesting ramble. But, let's see. That's why I said now keep your mouth shut. Basically, I made a, in the moment, video where I just sort of talked about, like, why I left, all the servers and just kind of explaining, like, yeah, overload. Yeah, I kind of don't know if I really want to stream or not, even though I do, but I don't. And all that stuff. I'm not sure if you want a link or not, but if you do, let me know. And the other thing, about it is just the fact that, like, no one's going to see that video, even though I posted it in my Discord. And I don't feel like most people are going to really look into why I left. They're just going to be like, oh, he left. And that'll be the end of it, but oh well. But basically, long story short, yeah, overloaded, all that stuff. The things that I've been mentioning a few times. Heck, I'd be gaming right now. I've been in the same place before I understand the feels. Yeah, I would be gaming right now, but like, I literally am at that point at the moment to where I'm not in the mood to really play many games. And for me, that's a big deal because gaming has been something that's been huge for me ever since a little kid. And so me needing to take a step back from gaming stuff and all that is big deal. Frick, I am running a Minecraft server that I don't even play on, for instance. And it's just like, there's so much to it. In the same place, I understand the feels. Mine has mainly been affected by my depression and anxiety, so I lose interest in motivation. I also have moments where I just don't know what to play because there's nothing new. I mean, that's understandable. For me, I don't know if I have anxiety or depression. There are signs to it, but, like, I've never been diagnosed, so I just don't say, yeah, I'm depressed or something like that. At the same time, I definitely could. But, let's see. My main thing with it is just the fact that, yeah, I'm here, I do my thing. I've gotten kind of tired of trying to be social. I like to be social sometimes, but I've gotten to the point where it's got too hard to really do. I'm just waiting for the Gen 4 remakes and E3 hype. I'm worried about the Gen 4 remakes, to be honest. Because, yeah. I didn't think that they did well with Sword and Shield. I think that they made a lot of mistakes. And I didn't buy the DLC because I don't support that. So, take that as you will. But, I really am worried more than I am hopeful. But we're just going to have to see. For all we know, these remakes could be amazing. I'm only going to get after I see some reviews. Oh, this sticker is going to be hard to put on. Also, I've been alone for the past year since I moved. I moved 5 hours from my hometown, so I don't get to see it, talk to anyone. Not been produced by a Green Freak, so that could change your mind. Yeah, that could definitely help it. It's just, you know, I'm still gonna have that worry. And being alone definitely will not help with your mental state no matter what. Like, uh, I mentioned my time in the apartment, and I don't think I've really talked about this on stream a lot, but, like, I know I've mentioned it to, like, close friends, is that in 2017 when I was in the apartment, that was the worst batch of depression that I have ever had, and I hope that it's the worst that I ever will have. Wow. How did I make the mistake of saying have, which is usually a typing thing? But yeah, no, it's a like being alone, especially once depression hits, is never fun. And in there, I was at a spot where I was so depressed that I only worked, ate donuts, and laid on the ground for hours, not doing a single thing. And that was my life for like 2 months. Same thing with Legends. I don't have any opinion on Legends at all, to be honest. It looks cool. Probably not the gameplay that I'll enjoy. Since leaving Link server, I've talked with Exo and much or more, so I've lost one friend and got closer with two. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if I'll get closer to anyone or not. It's hard for me to reach out. Depression and loneliness don't go well together. Yeah. No need to preach to the choir. Because, let me tell you, I've experienced it. I like to say that even though I did experience that and all that, I am in a better place than I was back then. Even after my one bout of leaving every server I'm in, I'm still not in really a bad place, just in a place of I really don't want to do much when it comes to like being social. Again, like I probably come off as very social and all that stuff. And that's because usually I make the attempt to reach out to people and to talk with people and all that stuff. But then, like, sometimes I have troubles once more down the road when it comes to actually keeping that social interaction up if it doesn't feel like I'm getting much social interaction back. And so this has been some that has been sort of building for a while, and so here we are. I've had it most of my life, so I've learned to cope a little. When I was in high school, I didn't have a whole lot of people I was close to. See, that's the weird part for me, is because I was always sort of that person that people knew and liked, but like I don't keep in contact with really anyone from high school other than Fluffy, who appears in streams. Let's see. TBH, you don't seem that social. I can see the fake persona of it. I do the same thing, so I can see you're more introverted, awkward, and like me. It's weird, because I'm not fully introverted. I am definitely socially awkward. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not fully introverted. I do have bits of extrovertedness, and I even like to go out and talk with people sometimes. But again, when it gets overloading, it's really overloading. And like the case with like what I was talking about, it became too much. And so we're here. You're an introverted extrovert? Yeah, basically. Let's see. Make the shapes line up. Put the sticker on first and make the shapes line up. Wow. I literally just on stream. Hold up, we're missing a piece. What number is that? B1, number 1. Let's see. You won't talk unless talked to. I mean, that's only in certain circumstances. And when people talk to you, you'll be hard to shut up. And if there's too many people, it makes it hard to try and speak out. I mean, sorta. The one exception there is you won't talk unless talked to. Because I've definitely talked to people who think I talk too much, for sure. And I've reached out to many people. The part that's different is just the fact that when I reach out, I do expect to at least hear from people again. And there are just people that just don't do that. So, As for like too many people thing, that only really affects me when I'm in like a spot like how I was when I left the servers, because like a lot of times I'm actually fine, but then like we saw with the other thing, it became difficult. I think not because of the fact that too many people were talking, but because just didn't feel like really going for it anymore. Trying to figure out how this sticker goes on is wonky. Let's see. Like, you don't talk to people, but eventually you back off if you aren't getting the same. Or yeah, that's a better explanation of it. Cause yeah, I go in, I do my talking, and if I don't get much in return, then it's hard to really chat with the person in any way, shape, or form afterwards. So, yeah. Which way is this supposed to go? Is this way? Come on. So, take this. Take this. Looks like it's supposed to be this way. You know what? I wish I could kept track of which one was which. That would make this part easier. Okay, now this one's the left arm. And it goes like that. There we go. Let's see. I'm not great at English, despite it being my only language, so it may not be the best explanation of that. I give the same energy to people they give me, and so if it's shit, then I'll eventually leave them on read, because it's not worth it. I'm, like, I understand that, but I'm also that person that doesn't leave people on read, except for 2 cases, which I can definitely talk about those, but, I'm that type of person that if I get any interaction, I take it. At the same time, if I give them a message and they leave me on read, I might just never send a second message. Because that kind of thing usually leads me to believe that you're just going to not respond at all. And I've had people that have just not responded at all after I've sent a second message and they've read it. And yeah, kind of pisses me off when that happens, but well, what am I gonna do? And read as in red past tense. I mean, leave them on read is how it's said, though. Like, I understand your view on that, but it is actually leave them on read. And same spelling difference, ways to pronounce and meaning. Right. But again, leave them on read is actually the correct way to say that phrase. Tail. believe this is the tail. I could tell you the story of the two different people that I have just never responded to. Because there are two people that I left on read. Or on read. Or however it's said. However you say it, I've only done it with two. That left arm really seems like it could easily fall out. And I don't like that. Look, I'm not going to get into the logistics of saying it as red because that would require me to change so much of how my brain works, and I'm already bad enough at saying things as is. I'm so stubborn about pronunciation that I say Rayquaza wrong because I don't like saying Rayquaza. Anyways, here's the Riolu. Looks really good after he's all put together and stickered up and all that. I'll definitely make sure I have him somewhere in the vastness of everything I have. But, so, A2. Oh, it's like a base. Clear base so that he stands better, even though this figure actually stands really well on his own. You're not getting on stuff, are you? Oh no, you're just eating. 50-50 on if Rayquaza is said right. I go back and forth. Okay, I'll give you a much more blatant example. I need to remember which Pokemon I actually say the names of wrong now. God dang it. Because there are Pokemon that I say it blatantly wrong, either on accident or... Like, Kyogre, Kyogre. Which way is right? I was just trying to explain how depending on the tense, future, or present, it changes the way you pronounce it. Well, that's the thing is, leave them on read is how I imagine it, because I don't think of it as, like, red being past tense. I think of it as the notification is read. You could say that it's just my brain is being stupid. Anyways. I'm trying to remember. There is definitely Kyogre is how it's right. Yeah, that's the thing is I always say Kyogre. And that's probably going to piss people off. Including Kyogre. Are you Kyogre in disguise? Joking. B6, B2. Woo! Parts are falling off. Or B1, B2. 36. I guess back to me explaining the story of how there's only two people I ever left on read or read. No, I say it that way for Kyogre. Right. But so in the first instance, it was back in, I want to say 2018. And since I am obvious furry and whatnot, I actually, maybe it would be better to say K-I Gor. That is, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. But back in, like, 2018, and again, context, I am obviously furry, and I actually do have things like a fur affinity and all that stuff. So, and a thing called Telegram. And so one day, and this is important because there's no other way that this person could have found my Telegram, I got this message from a random guy who just kind of was like, hello. And at first I didn't really think anything of it. At the time, me and Bernsey and our shared grandpa were out golfing, and so it was just like, oh, cool, someone actually like wants to chat. Not sure which way you say it now. You said both. I say Kyogre. But so this person reaches out, says hi, whatever. I say hi back. About maybe 10 lines after meeting him and him meeting me, he tried to, and this is a little explicit, but he tried to roleplay himself bending me over looking for a hole. I say as melodic. And I think I don't need to explain anymore on why I stopped talking with that guy real quick. You say melodic the same way? See, I don't know if it's melodic or milotic, or for all we know, it could be wrong. I think the most interesting debate is like Arceus, 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 because those are the 3 official pronunciations. And the fact that there's 3 official pronunciations means that no matter what, there is no unity on it. He seems like a nice dude. Why'd you show him out for Kyogre? Oh, you do not know the pain from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Or specifically Mystery Dungeon DX. You do not know the pain if you think Kyogre is a nice guy. Ooh. He is not one who is a nice guy. You say Milotic? Okay, it's fair. Again, and I was actually mentioning this when I was going through some Pokemon cards earlier on the stream, is that I am terrible at pronouncing Pokemon names. And considering I can't even use English right as it's my only language, yeah, you can take it as you will. Lucario has a face now. I meant the guy you were talking with. Let's see. One, I do not like being roleplayed, being bent over and treated as if I'm a sex toy, especially considering this was during the time where I was a thing called Dutch Angel Dragon, which, for context, doesn't have any lower parts whatsoever, not even a butt. So, yeah. That's just sort of a thing. Let's see. You've played every mystery dungeon. My personal opinion on what is the best is very subjective because I've only played Blue Rescue Team, Rescue Team DX, and Explorers of Sky. I personally like Explorers of Sky the best. But at the same time, I have a lot of great memories from both Blue Rescue Team, Explorers of Sky, and also DX. Which, to be fair, is a game that I had extreme worries about, but that game came out alright. I have Super Mystery Dungeon, but I've only played through the first dungeon. And I don't have Gates to Infinity. So I need to get Gates to Infinity at some point. Hi. You still made the right choice. Yeah. Explorers of Sky is one of my favorite games of all time. So it would be kind of hard to not say Explorers of Sky is probably the best mystery dungeon game that I've played. With that being said, the game still does have its flaws. And some people tend to forget that. This does not seem like it's going in right. Guess I'll leave it like that. Sky is better than all by far. Doesn't make the others bad, but it's way better. And that's fair. It's sort of like how, despite Sky being the best one I played, I still have a lot of love for the Rescue Team series. Because not only did I grow up a little bit, I was a little bit older than some of the other games that I grew up with. But, like, yeah. The Dialga theme hits different. Oh, yeah. I think the song playing right now is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Defy the Legends. A remix by Kamex, I believe? Yeah, Kamex remix of Defy the Legends. So there is that to think about. And with the Dialga theme, I'm pretty sure that, like, forgot the actual name that it goes by. Because there is like a name for the song. How did I forget? Like, it's definitely up there on one of my favorite songs from any video game. That's all that I think would need to be said. Okay. Body time. Go on to this. And that looks like a lot of work. Fight to the end. Dialga's fight to the finish. That's what it is. Thank you. You helped jog my memory. And I'd say of all the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon songs, Dialga's fight to the finish obviously has like some of the most remixes and remakes, and one of those remixes is probably on my top, like, of all songs of all time, along with just Dialga's fight to the finish. Oh yeah, that's another one. Is there's that debate between Dialga or Dialga. I'm pretty sure the official correct way is Dialga, but I've always said Dialga. And now I'm going to piss off everyone that's now going to notice that. I would continue building, but Cat is wanting attention, so I'm giving him some before I continue. Ugh. Even the credit theme of that game is great. Explorers of Sky has very, like, great music. I was actually thinking once of making a video about the music of Rescue Team and the music of Explorers of Sky. But my conclusion for both of them is that Rescue Team has very consistently good music with only one or two real drops. While only one or two songs from there really stand out, for the most part, if you go into Rescue Team, you're not going to run into a problem. With Explorers, you're going to have tons of highs and lows. Some of the best music from the series are in the game. And along with that, there are some songs in that game that I still do not believe is considered music. Like Waterfall Cave, for example. Do you think that that's actually music? But, yeah. I don't know which song makes me tear up the most. But definitely some of the end stuff for Explorers of Sky hits very much harder than, like, just about any other game. One little fact about it for me is that Explorers of Sky was the first game that I remember actually crying from. And in this point in time, I think is probably the only one that has, other than like Rescue Team later on, after coming back for DX. Which is interesting, because I had already played Rescue Team, like Blue Rescue Team. It's just the credit themes of the Mystery Dungeon games are so sad. Well, consider spoilers, but I'm pretty sure anyone that's this far into this knows. Like, the reason it's sad is probably because of the fact that, like, your character literally fades out of existence. Either from actually fading away or from going into back to your own reality or stuff like that. So it makes sense. But that's personal opinion. Then it's at the end of the adventure too, so there is that to consider as well. I'm actually going to hop off now. I should probably try and get some rest. Alright, well, now I'm probably going to start talking about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon while no one's watching. But enjoy your sleep and get some good rest. Hope to see you anytime. If you have my Discord, you're free to... I need to add this first. You're free to message me at any time. Like, I know I don't reach out much, but... Again, if you ever want to reach out, feel free to. No worries whatsoever. Take care, man. Oh. Of course, I don't know what with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon I really would want to talk about right now. Music is definitely one of the biggest things for me. But then when it comes to like, what else could I really talk about? A lot of people don't really like the gameplay of it. So that's sort of something that is really weird to me. But also I can kind of get it because not everyone's going to like the same game type, so there is that to consider. Maybe it's just how I am when it comes to these sort of things. I like Mystery Dungeon, but I don't like typical dungeon crawlers, which is very interesting because like there are some really good games that are dungeon crawlers, like friggin' what's it called? The one with the little kid who like is going through the basement and there's demons and all that stuff. It's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't get it. You know what? I'm just stupid. But that game, I played some of it, and while it's an okay game, I'm not able to get into it as much. Which is definitely a very interesting thing. Because, yeah, it's one of those games that it is good. But I just can't get myself into it. Oh, I was supposed to assemble C1 ones first. Whoops. But I think part of the reason why I like Mystery Dungeon is because of the fact that when it comes to those games, not only is there a continuous story to go off of and differences in like where you can go and all that stuff, but also there is a main story, one that's very, very impactful for a Pokemon game. And usually it's like really good story and the gameplay is good enough to where it's not going to annoy you unless you really really cannot stand like waiting for it to warm up a bit. Which, to be fair, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon usually is a bit slower to start. But at the same time, it's slow to start to get you hooked onto the characters a bit more. And to make it so that when the ending hits, it hits a whole lot harder than you might even think is possible than you would definitely expect. Which way is right? I think this with that. It turns anyway, so if it's wrong, then that's not going to be too much of a problem. But with gameplay being something that's a bit difficult for some people to get into, I can see why the series isn't as popular as the regular Pokemon games. Because unfortunately, not everyone is able to play a game just because it has amazing music and stuff like that. Because simply, they may not be able to get into the gameplay and be able to like get themselves hooked on it nearly as much as me or others will. Alright. 13 C1. Where did I put the C ones? This is C2. C1. That one must be the one that fell out. Right here. Just double check. Hopefully. Okay. Feels loose, but I guess that's... But when it comes to like gameplay, some people find it repetitive, which when you really look at the game, it's about the same repetitiveness as the main games in reality. Not to really bash on the people that are saying that it's repetitive so they can't get into it, because that is a fair like way to put it. But also, the people who say this tend to be people who play so much of the main games that I question how they're able to play them and not get bored if the repetition in Mystery Dungeon gets them. But maybe that's just me not understanding people, because, like, yeah, I'm not the best people person. I do my best. But overall, when it comes to people, I am not the best. Okay. B1. This is B1, this is B2. B1. Ugh. Sort of lost my train of thought, to be honest, because like trying to focus on this is not exactly great, and not having someone chatting makes it difficult to actually really think of the things to say. I could talk more about the just Mystery Dungeon as a whole, but anything there is to say, I would want to actually put focus into saying it, because of the fact that I'm bad at talking as is. I don't want to seem like someone who's just a derp unable to talk, trying to explain why this game that totally is cool, it needs to be played by everyone. Like, I would want to actually be able to explain it. And so that's sort of like a it's just sort of the thing with that. Hey, I got an Armin. But I will say that I do love the game, and still want like my favorite series of games. Like overall, even if I'm not great at explaining exactly why. I think part of it too might be just the fact that I am one of those people that does not identify well with myself and all that stuff. So a story like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, where you get to be a human that was turned into a Pokemon and whisked away to another world, it's appealing. Simple as that. More could probably be said about it, sure, but simply enough, the fact that I would be one of those people that's easy to just like really enjoy just the idea of being put in another world and get to try things that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. It's one of those things that I believe makes just not only the appeal of the game very big, but the appeal of the concept in the universe so big. It would be why I'm someone that wants to really look into the Mystery Dungeon series as a like thing I want to write like stories about, because there's a lot of interesting concepts in the games outside of also the idea of a human becoming a Pokemon. That's like the main thing. But I don't know. I'm rambling like a madman. Of course, if anyone's actually watching this, would they expect anything different? uh. I may as well set the finished Riolu right here so that he can be seen, and the unfinished Lucario like there so he's seen better, and just continue on. Make sure I have that the right way as that this gets popped in. And well, I guess the other thing about it is just the fact that like I did grow up with both the Mystery Dungeon games and the main games. So I do have... Jesus, I need to get a drink or something. I'm talking a lot. The thing is, like, I do enjoy the main games too, a lot. Diamond and Pearl, and especially Diamond, are still two of my top games overall, just like how Explorers of Sky and all that are. The main difference, I believe, would be just the fact that while Diamond and Pearl are fun games and definitely have their impact, they're ones that I don't have much for when you look at outside of just the fact that they're fun games. The world is interesting and they brought good Pokemon, but also when you look at outside of just that, they're like, sure, the characters in that are good and I do enjoy the game. There's not as much to really go off of in my sort of view. Maybe that's because I'm not only furry trash, but one of those people that I tend to have difficulty really imagining stories when it comes to like worlds that are already built in worlds that are like take place in human settings, probably because when I tend to think of any sort of story or whatnot that I want to write, I want it to be a story that can happen in the same universe with some sort of like real weight to it without having to completely disrupt how the game and how the world works. And with Mystery Dungeon, it's loose enough to where you can just sort of make up your own rules if you really wanted to in some cases. Because there's a lot of mystery involved. There's a lot of unique ideas that are put out there that aren't fully explored, that you are sort of pushed to look into a bit deeper and come up with your own conclusion. And so there's just a ton of things on that end that I really think would be interesting to write about. A big one for me is when you think of like Diamond and Pearl, there's not a lot of mystery to it. You have Cyrus, who wants to create a new world, and he makes an evil group, all that stuff. He fails to take over the legendaries, and that's basically the story. And while the details are definitely interesting at times, once you're at the end of the story, it really does feel like the end. There isn't much that feels like can be added to it. While with the Mystery Dungeon series, while there is definitely a more of a case of things being sorry, I'm reading numbers and trying to speak. Wait, which one am I doing? 16, 17. These are split up weird. Little stickers are going to be a pain. But with the Mystery Dungeon games, while the big bad of whatever happens does get figured out at the end, there's also so much that might go unexplained or does leave a bit of mystery to where you're able to sort of make up your own little theories and whatnot. So, for example, a little bit of a spoiler, but one big point in Rescue Team in the post game is that there is this Lucario who is not really like shown at all in the game, and basically is this sort of figure that the strongest Pokemon you know, Alakazam, looks up to and sees as someone to strive to be like. But again, he's never seen in game, and so it leads you to speculate, what is with this Lucario? Who is he, and why is he so important? Because there is no post-game about it, you're left to wonder, speculate, and make up your own theories, and this leads to a lot of like what creates sort of the speculation and theories and stories that people make. That and the fact that people like to put themselves in the shoes of the main characters of these games, because of the fact that like the main characters are actually characters for once, and you actually care about like the partner and all that stuff. You're not so much a person who's just trying to become the champion of your region. You're someone who not only is saving the world, you're doing so with a new best friend who you get to spend so much time with that you genuinely grow attached to him. And while like you can get attached to the character for Diamond and Pearl, let's be honest, there's not much to main characters in Pokemon games. It's usually just 10-year-old kid, there's sometimes rival, and they are the strong silent type who basically becomes the champion of their region and stops an evil team along the way. Which, you know, is fair. not every game needs to have a main character that is like super deeply fleshed out. Games can work without super deep stories. But I think what is missing with the main Pokemon series is the fact that we've gotten to the point where there's so little that you basically are. There's a desire for these more story driven games that just isn't really brought in by the main games. That's why you see a huge surge in the popularity of some of the side games like Coliseum and Mystery Dungeon and all that stuff, because these games had impact past just introducing some of your favorite Pokemon. These games were games that could experiment more and just sort of be more out and about with how they did things. And because of that, these games are ones that have huge impact, have huge followings that are outside of the regular games. And it's why the people who do like these games are so vocal about it, is because they are like really good story-driven games, and especially recently, it seems like these stories have just kind of been dropped. Or if they try to recreate it, they do it so poorly that it creates what happens with happened with Gates to Infinity, where even if you enjoy the music and the gameplay and think that the 3D models are good, a lot of people really dislike the game because it was coming off of what's considered the best story-driven game Pokemon's ever had, and the story for Gates felt a bit lackluster and repetitive because it was just another you are brought into the world and you need to save the world type thing, and you have a partner. But a lot of people didn't feel them to be as fleshed out as before. There wasn't so much that you could do with it. And overall, part of what made that game so much more critically panned is just the fact that there wasn't really as much attachment to these games, or to Gates to Infinity specifically. And so it created a sort of divide where people didn't like this newer 3D one because there wasn't as much to it. Now, it easily could be said that the Pokemon Company made the same mistake with X and Y, but X and Y is a mainline Pokemon game, and what I believe is that the mainline Pokemon games never had too deep of stories to begin with, other than with Black and White, which, to be fair, or Black and White 2, which, to be fair, those stories were extremely experimental to the point where it turned off some mainline people. So whether you think those games are good or not, up to you, but there is a reason why some people do not enjoy those as much as others. Now, I only played White 2. I have White, but I never played through it. So my opinion on those games are a bit eh. And in addition to that, White 2 I only beat in like 2019. So I was lagging a bit behind, to say the least. But, you know, that's how it is. I do find it funny that Lucario can pose in so many ways and Riolu is just like, Hah! Like, literally, that's the, what I think when I see him. It's just, hiya! Now the question is, where am I going to put these? And how do I want these posed? I want some like this. And yeah, there we go. These are finished. I just spent a long time explaining and talking and whatnot, but here we go. So these are finished. I can't get a real good angle on these without really dropping my webcam down from there, which I could do. In fact, I may as well. Hello, webcam. So, kind of looks weird on Lucario, but finally finished with these, and yeah, I like them. Definitely not something that I usually do, but hey, it's definitely nice, and I get to spend time just talking about what's on my mind, even if I don't really have too much on my mind sometimes. Got to ramble about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and all that stuff. Where was I on that anyways? I think I was mentioning just, yeah, the games are sort of seen as, they're not, the newer Mystery Dungeons aren't exactly seen as awful, but in the case of Gates to Infinity, because the story was so, like, brought down, because of the fact they had to make 3D models and bring in all new Pokemon and all that stuff, that was something that massively tanked people's perception of Mystery Dungeon as a whole and where the games were going to head. Especially since, unlike in Explorers and Rescue Team, you were very limited in those games in who you could play as and who you could be. Let me throw this away real quick. And throw this away real quick. Got trash all over the place from throwing stuff around. But yeah, so with these games being ones that people didn't exactly enjoy, Super Mystery Dungeon came and sold worse. Not because it's a terrible game exactly, but because there was no faith in it to begin with. No one wanted to give a chance to this game when the game itself is seen as being unlikely to live up to the games before it. And so that's the issue that you're going to have with a lot of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and it's why a lot of people criticize the games after Black and White 2 for the main games, is because these games had stories to them. And then the story side of the main games were sort of dropped in favor of just kind of doing the same thing and just introducing new Pokemon. Which, to be fair, new Pokemon are good. I like the Galarian starters, for instance, and the Alolan starters. Alolan Executor is a laughing stock, and there's a lot of good that comes from it. Of course, the fact that that's all that the games are good for sometimes, it brings into question of why would people play the games if all they're for is introducing new Pokemon to get attached to. And when you're asking that question, you're already going to get people who make the choice that they just don't want to play these games, and they will just stick to the old ones, enjoy the old ones, and not try the new ones because they just see it as going downhill. And one thing that I think, even if the Diamond and Pearl remakes are good, one struggle it's going to have is you have people like me who sees like the like alpha Alpha Sapphire Omega Ruby games and see that people really don't like those because they took out so much from the originals that it's almost as if all they put into it was the main story and all that stuff. To be fair to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, that game had the same problem with X and Y where they had to do new 3D models and had to basically put it out not too late into where those models were being created. And so I can put a pass on that one. But then you look into Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. These games were heavily criticized for many reasons. I never played them, so my opinion is literally I've never played them, and what I see is what I know. But these games, from my knowledge, are very, very lacking on the story side. And because of how X and Y had the past of it's the first time being in 3D for Pokemon's main series, and how Alpha Red or Alpha Sapphire or Omega Ruby had the past of, well, it's a remake, so the story is going to be basically similar, if not the same. There were like some changes, but I'm not going to go over all that. But the fact that it's a remake means that they were limited in what they could really do with the story. And they still did change a pretty decent amount. And so when Sun and Moon came around, these games were kind of critiqued for being very lacking in everything. The story was bland to a lot of people, which from what I know, that's a sort of like it depends what type of games you like type deal. But also I remember there was controversy about the national decks not being a thing, which if you're someone who's casual, you might or might not care. But if you're someone who, say, transfers Pokemon up from game to game, that will be a big thing for you. And so for me, that would be a big thing if I had Sun and Moon. In Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they had it, so they sort of fixed it. But they also introduced a story that many consider to be very, very terrible. To the point where a lot of the prior villains were basically brought back only to be considered laughingstock with how terribly they were put into these games. My opinion, I have not played it. But then we get to not Sword and Shield yet. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. These games are weird. And I think anyone that's played these games know that. So, I have Let's Go Eevee. I've also played Pikachu with Burnsy because he owns that. And I think Fluffy owns that, but if so, she owns both, so whatever. The main thing with that game is that it's a remake of Red and Blue, but again. Or actually, it's more like a remake of Yellow, but point is, it's a remake of Gen 1 after there was a remake of Gen 1 back in Gen 3. Which, if you're not someone that keeps up with generations, well, that's sort of weird wording. But basically, this game came out in a sort of way where it tried to be its own series while still being a mainline series. And so it's sort of a remake while being its own thing, and it becomes weird. It's a, what is this game? The biggest, like, so I've played Let's Go Eevee. I've been the main story, obviously. And in my opinion, the game isn't bad. I enjoy the game. But it watered down the original story heavily. It watered down the story that the remake was telling. The original remake was telling. And made it very extensively kid-friendly. Threw in these old characters whose storyline it is that they're taking from, making confusion on who is blue in this universe, who is red in this universe, who is green in this universe, other than some crazy girl who thinks you're a Pokemon, which that is definitely someone's thing. But anyways, it basically took the original game, tried to make a new thing out of it without making it a new thing, and then at the same, or at least story-wise, and then also threw in elements that are supposed to be sort of bait to older audiences. Things like having, what's her name, the Elite Four woman appear earlier on to scare off some Team Rocket grunts. Or having red, blue, and green appear in the game, even though this doesn't make sense in any way, because red and blue, or green and blue, should have already gone through these exact things that you and your partner in that game, or not partner, I'll go over that in a minute. You and Guy are going through at the same time. And so, it makes a confusing narrative. It makes it a... So you're wanting to appeal to the people who like the old games, but you don't want to appeal to the people who like the old games by making these things not make sense. That's just looking at it from the story side. From gameplay side, I've played enough Pokemon Go to actually be decent at Let's Go, but with how the game's set up, it's very, not disorienting, but how the game works, it makes it to where there's a lot more delay when you go to throw the ball. There's like weird hiccups that can happen. And it feels like the game wasn't exactly put together the greatest. I could be wrong. This is just coming from where I'm coming from. And just because the game might be a bit wonky and doesn't have a great story does not mean it can't be enjoyed. A lot of the games that I mentioned earlier are games that a lot of people love and enjoy in their own right. I am not going to take that away from anyone. I don't want to. But what I'm saying is that this game was thrown together in a way where, like, some people absolutely despise these games because of not only what it stands for with Pokemon remakes, and many people seen it as a degradation of the Pokemon franchise as a whole, but also the fact that these games basically felt like they were trying to toss away any history they had before and try and shove in something new when it was unnecessary, which creates a lot of tension, to say the least. Again, these games can be fun to play. I had my fun with them for sure, but they're also games that are harder to go back to because of the fact that they're not the best put together games, and in the end, yeah, it could be worse. And also, they may be mainline games, but they play so different from a mainline game that is something that can be put under, like, scrutiny. Now, one game that doesn't have that excuse is Sword and Shield, the current games. Now, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, despite its flaws, got me back into Pokemon again in a sense. It reminded me of the series, it got me interested in playing the new game, and remind me of how good some of the older games were. And when Sword and Shield started coming out, I wanted to take a lot of old Pokemon, transfer them up from as early as I have, which is Emerald, and transfer it all the way up to Sword and Shield once that game came out. I played through all of White 2 just to be able to transfer from Diamond up to it, and I started on Y just so that I could actually use Pokemon Bank. And so, I got to that point where I had Pokemon Bank, or I still do, but where I have Pokemon Bank, have basically most Pokemon transferred from these older games up into Y, and all that stuff. And then controversy breaks. Not just like the graphics, that to me was fine at first. Not just animations, that's something that, while I expect better from them sometimes, it's fine. Not the fact that shinies don't appear in the overworld. It's stupid because they did in Let's Go, but it's fine because whether that's a main game or not is debatable anyways, because if we were to go by side games, they should have had full animations way back in the Wii, like in the GameCube era, going on to the DS, because let's face it, things like Coliseum and all that had very intricate battle animations before that, but because these are the main games, they're still kind of on that experiment isn't a thing they want to do sort of thing, so that's fine. But the controversy that broke me for Sword and Shield was the fact that not every Pokemon was going to be able to be brought into these games. This included, at the time, I'm just going to say now, this was at the time when Sword and Shield was still coming out. Most mythicals, with Mew being the only one I believe allowed at the time, and all legendaries could not be transferred up. Many Pokemon that were all-stars except for Charmander up in his line were not able to come in at all. You had Pokemon that were massively popular, like Zoroark and Zora are not in this game. You have friggin' like the original. I need to double check this one because I might be wrong. I might be wrong on what I'm thinking, but I'm pretty sure that they didn't have they didn't have Jigglypuff. I remember that much. So, and Jigglypuff and all that are actually like very massively important, popular, or whatever. I'm just not even gonna look into that because I forgot. Like, one of the based Pokemon that appear in just about every game is like Geodude and his line. They weren't in the game. And so there's obviously more, but like just going to that alone, my confidence in this game went from pretty like okay, I'm excited for it, to just drop, crash. I lost interest so hard that I wasn't going to get this game, because not only was there going to be no way to transfer old Pokemon up if they're from a certain list of Pokemon, but they were also going to charge money for Pokemon Home, which makes no sense if you have no games to transfer these Pokemon to. You're literally paying to move them into somewhere where they just go to die. I hated this, and so all of my Pokemon from prior generations are still on Y because of this, even though I have Sword right now. I have not gotten past, what, the third gym? I got up to the one of the routes with the, like, freaking daycare. And that was as far as I got in that game, because I really just lost interest in it so hard. Now, part of the reason why I have the game is because Fluffy got it for me anyways, even though I told her I didn't want to get this game. I don't want the game because it's going to disappoint me. She got it for me anyways. And so I have to deal with the fact that she got that for me and now I have it. And because she got it for me, I went, well, I mean, because I have it, I guess I'll try it. I'm never buying the DLCs though. Which is a thing on its own I could bring up, but main point is, since at launch, there were all these Pokemon who weren't going to be in the game, there was a lot of controversy over it. And there was a lot of questions. Most of them being, why are so many people or Pokemon being taken out if these models are the exact same HD future-proof ones from all the way back in X and Y? Because if you didn't know, Sword and Shield's models and textures for older Pokemon are still the same as from the 3DS on X and Y, because X and Y's models and textures were made in a way to where they should have been, while they may have been on a system not capable of HD, should have been able to be used on HD systems and HD rendering stuff. And the fact that you can compare the models from Sword and Shield to all the 3DS games and find that they are exactly the same, they don't have any excuse on that front. One excuse I found is balancing, which is... I could get into that all day, because Dynamaxing is considered one of the most imbalanced things that Pokemon has ever introduced into a mainline game. Worse than Mega Evolution. It's so bad that a lot of the competitive community really hate this game. And still do, because a lot of the Pokemon that they like to actually use are not able to be brought into this game. Or at least not until they started adding the game, because they started adding Pokemon through DLCs. Which I find very shady, stupid, greedy, manipulative, and just against my morals. Even if them adding the DLCs means that you can transfer these Pokemon now for free, it also brings in the question of, why did they not do it before? Why is it that we had all these Pokemon not in the game before, now just able to be in the game because you put in some DLC? Why is it that you put it behind a time wall? Why are all Pokemon from the past going to be able to be brought in now? Is it a... like, there's so many questions to it. Is the reason why legendaries weren't brought in is because you wanted to be able to make sure people would be excited to get them in the Mega Rays later and just introduce it later on? I don't know. I never participated in the Mega Raids. I haven't gotten past the third gym. I lost care for that game so hard that I have not picked it up in months. Even Animal Crossing, which I burnt out so hard on that I actually fear picking up that game sometimes, I've picked up in recent times. And so that's bad when a mainline Pokemon game creates so much problems with just how it presents itself and how the game works and the controversies it created, that not only did I drop extremely from the hype from it and proceeded to be very disappointed by it and all that stuff, but it made me worried about the future games. Especially since, again, Let's Go, while being a fun game, didn't have a lot going for it in other departments. And because the only thing that, like, the Galarian games, Sword and Shield, have is new Pokemon, it really, really hits hard just how, like, worrying it's becoming that they are starting to release new games and re-release old games. But then that's going to bring me to what is probably the most surprising remake, I think, ever in Pokemon's history, other than Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. This was a game that was announced. I woke up and saw everyone talking about it. I didn't realize that the Pokemon Corporation actually confirmed a remake until I checked it out for myself. And when I saw they did, I had a few worries going into it. Now, obviously, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is not developed by the same team that makes the main games. The main games is like Game Freak and all that, while Mystery Dungeon is Chunsoft. So there is a bit of difference there. But because of how weird Let's Go was, how severely mistreated Sword and Shield is, and the fact that that game still was able to be a top seller despite that, it made me worried that bringing back Rescue Team was going to be terrible. In the trailer, there were things that I saw and I was worried about. Things like there was a little bit of trailer footage that showed Lucario. Now, I've mentioned this earlier in the stream, but Lucario is only mentioned in the game. He doesn't appear in the game. And so, the fact that he was shown as playable was worrying because it was what is the extent here? Are they only gonna introduce, like, Gen 4? Are they going to introduce Pokemon from all generations? How are they going to integrate that into the game when the game was made with Gen 3 in mind? And Gen 4 was only being teased still, with the only games the only Pokemon even being referenced or in Rescue Team being the baby Pokemon of Gen 4 and Lucario, who was hyped up long before. So seeing Lucario playable in the trailer brought that question of, does that mean we'll see more Gen 4? Does that mean we're only going to see Pokemon that were mentioned? Are we going to see evolutions from other games that weren't in this game purely because of it being after the fact? Or are we going to not see these evolutions and is Lucario just thrown in here? What is the case? And so my worst fear was that they were going to try and shove all Pokemon from Gen 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 into this game somehow, whether it had been in the post-game or whether they tried to integrate it poorly into the main game. This was something that I, like, looking back, might have been a bit of an irrational fear, but it came from the fact that in Let's Go, you could get the Alolan forms of Gen 1 Pokemon by trading in, like, the game. They even had, like, the painter girl from Sun and Moon appear so that you can trade specific normal Pokemon for their Alolan counterparts during the storyline. Sorry, I need to actually get a drink, which I'll do in a second. But because of the fact that they had that, it was what Pokemon are going to make an appearance? Are we going to see Alolan forms? Are we going to see Galarian forms? What are we going to see? The second big thing that really, really worried me was Mega Evolution. Now, for context, I'm not a big fan of Mega Evolution, but I am more okay with it than Dynamaxing. Mega Evolution, though, is something that I did not fully enjoy in why the bit I've played. And, like, sure, Lucario, like, Mega Lucario looks cool sometimes. And you have some cool forms for, like, Charizard and whatnot. Their impact in X and Y are part of why many people who are on the competitive scene really dislike that game. And the fact that Mega Evolution was sort of shoved into Alpha Sapphire Omega Ruby in a way to where it became a central point of those games, being massive in the story even. It had me worried that Mega Evolution was going to be shoved into the main story of Rescue Team. A story that was very much more carefully put together. One that each little detail is important, and where stuff like Mega Evolution not only didn't exist, but if it's thrown in willy-nilly, really destroys a lot of plot points in it. And so I was worried. There was other reasons that I was worried, but those were my main ones. I was actually fine with the art style and all that stuff. And yeah. And so I waited. I was hopeful for the game to be good, but I was expecting it to be a train wreck. And then the demo came out. And my worries were not entirely relieved. The fact that they took the first couple of dungeons of the game and turned them into a tutorial, I heartily hated. Because I didn't see why they did it. Other than, like, maybe if they actually think that new people are going to try this game, which they're not. The other thing was the game felt really easy. It was missing the normal default attack that every game before that has had, which brought into question how PP is going to work. The game felt very easy despite that. And I found out that not only could you already swap between which Pokemon you're playing as, but also just the fact that, like, having anyone faint doesn't make it end, made it very clear that this game was going to be extremely easy in comparison to prior games. And looking back, I wasn't wrong about it being easier. But to backtrack a bit, there were some things that I might have looked at and worried more than I should have over. One of the things in the game is auto mode, which is where you hit a button and the game explores for you. It stops moving you when you have a enemy to fight, but otherwise you can let the game basically play itself. I didn't like this because it meant that you're not even playing the game, and it's a big reason why I don't get into mobile games. But besides the point, it's an optional feature. I never used it. I don't know why I worried about it. As for the difficulty of the game, it was easy. The fact that the map showed items and enemies all the time was something that I feel like they didn't have to add. But on the plus side, at least they didn't keep it through the post game, where the people who actually care about this stuff would notice and would already be used to playing without a map, and like anyone that's like older to the series would, a lot of them would have probably gave up by this point because the game was too easy and honestly just didn't have some of the right vibes going for it. My tailbone hurts. I need to like stand or something. But because the fact that these were in the game, it kind of was worrying. But at the same time, a lot of my prior worries were actually not justified, and I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of things. For example, how they handle Mega Evolution in the game not only avoids conflicting with any of the story whatsoever, but also makes it to where that, well, obviously it is an optional thing. They don't make it a required thing to be able to complete the story. They make it so to where if you don't ever want to use Mega Evolution whatsoever, you don't need to. It's never mentioned. And overall, the only time you see it before the main game ends is in the 2 last dungeons, in which it could be in earlier dungeons, but if a Pokemon of yours dies to another Pokemon while in one of these last 2 dungeons, that Pokemon will become awakened or Mega Evolved based on status. Awakened status is basically Mega Evolved if your Pokemon doesn't have a Mega Evolution. They made it so that the original boss fights between Rayquaza and Groudon for the story do not shove in Mega Evolution in any way. And I can fully respect them for doing this. Because if they made it to where you had to fight Mega Rayquaza first, or something like that, it would have pissed off a lot of people. Now, with all that being said, Kyogre is a bitch. And I almost beat him first try. And then he brought his primal form, and I proceeded to cringe at myself for thinking that it was going to, like, it was almost a heartbreaking loss because it was a, all of my team had died. Only one Pokemon left. It was either Sprinkles or Plush. As in, like, the actual, like, in-game ones, not, like, my Sona Me one. Very low health, like maybe 10 left. I think it was, like, just Squirtle Plush. Because it was one last hit from a distance, and, like, when you defeat a Pokemon, oftentimes your, like, character will have a little thought bubble that pops up saying yes or whatever. And so I saw that and I had a big sigh of relief at first. Because I had no more revives, everyone was dead, I had little health, and I just beat this boss. Except I didn't. He brought out a second form, killed me, and made me have to try for a couple weeks just to be able to beat him. So yeah, Kyogre, you're a dick. But at the same time, the fact that this boss fight was enhanced by the Mega Evolution is something that I actually think is a good thing. Even if, like, Kyogre decided to destroy me multiple times and make it to where I had to learn the hard way how to do the rescuing system, which you can rescue yourself with, by the way. It's sort of like that whole, I'm glad that the game whooped me in some way. Now, I can't say that every post-game boss whooped me. Kyogre was probably actually one of the worst ones. But just the fact that any of them did really helped me into not really hating how easy the game is, purely because there is some challenge to it. There was some challenge to it. And even now, the last time I played that game, I had to end stream because I was waiting to get rescued because I had died in... what section was it? I think it was like I went to fight Rayquaza and got utterly obliterated despite the sheer numbers and the fact that I've been able to kind of flow through the game otherwise. But hey, the challenge is nice to have. And I think that's part of the reason why Sword and Shield and all that might also have a bit of issues with people saying it's too easy, but whatever. There is probably more I could say about like Rescue Team DX, but overall that game exceeded my expectations, but it really mostly did because my expectations were low. I was expecting like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee level of remake to where sure the music is nice, but the story is wrecked and things just don't make sense in the new context, and they shove in Mega Evolution and Alolan forms in places they shouldn't. And no, they didn't. They kept it to where only the Pokemon that either appeared in the original game or evolutions or pre-evolutions of said Pokemon are in the game. Lucario and Riolu are the only exception because Lucario played a part in the post-game, being mentioned various times and still being a big part of the game despite not making an actual appearance. And so they were very respectful with how they treated what Pokemon went in, not deviating so far to shove every Pokemon from prior games in, or trying to add the regional variants just because. They didn't mess with the story. They didn't mess with really much of anything other than the gameplay itself. And the gameplay itself, love it or hate it, it is a lot more beginner friendly and integrates a lot of the newer stuff that's from like the 3DS Mystery Dungeon games in a way to where it just works well in Rescue Team despite some of these items not being in those games. So things like wands, I actually like them. They did really well. Things like orbs that they changed how they work, I don't like. I find it funny that I can call in a rescue team while fighting Rayquaza in Sky Tower when no one else is supposed to be able to even get up there. But at the same time, it felt wrong to do. But that's just me. How they do the throwing animations in this game is friggin' hilarious to me because I'm used to the little spin and then a item flies slowly in the air or kind of flies decent speed. But in this game, it's the literal antithesis of you can hear that Minun on your screen yelling yeet as he chucks this rock at another Pokemon. Maybe that's why it always gets me. But like, the main point of what I'm talking about is just a lot of these things, they're like weird, but overall the game came out a whole lot better than I expected. And so now we're looking down the barrel of Diamond and Pearl remakes. Something that has been heavily wanted by many in the community for many years. Something that I personally still don't really feel comfortable about. Sure, Pokemon Rescue Team came out well, but like, I heard something about this not being developed by Game Freak, but it still has a lot of chance to fall to a lot of the things that made Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu hard to come back to, just like Sword and Shield are hard to come back to. There are some very noticeable good things in the trailer that I saw. Things like they are trying to keep the overworld pretty much the same as before. Which, your opinion on chibi forms for these characters, it works for the gameplay. That's all I'm going to say. And it's not as if the whole game is this. They have it to where in battles they have full scaled up versions. This shows that they're putting in more effort just in that alone than Sword and Shield, because Sword and Shield, your overworld model is exactly the same as in your battles. And somehow they made it even lazier in Sword and Shield. But this means that whoever is the ones making this game, and I'm not going to be bothered to look it up at the moment, they're putting in a bit more effort into this, which is good. Now, there is stuff still yet to be seen. Is Dynamaxing a thing? I've heard rumors that there is, but I did not see any proof of it. Or are they going to add Mega Evolution? Again, I've heard rumors of it, but I don't know if it's going to be true. Mega Evolution would make more sense because of the fact that Mega Lucario is a big deal in how Lucario basically can't even speak. How Mega Lucario basically is the Pokemon that is used to teach people what Mega Evolution is back in X and Y. And so, if they do add either of them, I'd rather it be Mega Evolution than Dynamaxing, that's for sure. Even if I'm not a fan of the idea of them adding it. And that's because, if you go by, where I want it to be, I'm too far in the past to where I am not exactly great about these new things. Some of it can be scary, and I've seen bad things come from them. But at the same time, with Rescue Team DX, I've seen them used in good ways and used well. And so, it's sort of I'm uncomfortable. Because Diamond and Pearl, it's a mainline remake, which, whatever you think Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are, they're less of a mainline game than these Diamond and Pearl remakes are. That's going to make things difficult, because if these games come out to be crap, then it's going to cause a lot of discourse in just the community as a whole and everywhere. Where will we end up if we end up in the timeline where Pikachu, or I lost my train of thought. I was about to say something about Let's Go Pikachu for whatever reason. But what if we end up in the timeline where these remakes end up terrible, where Diamond and Pearl is treated terribly, where they don't add any of the improvements that are from Platinum like a lot of people want, where they don't do anything with the story other than throw in things that will just make it more confusing. Who knows? For all we know, they might try to make it to where somehow Cyrus has Mega Stones, and these are what he uses to control the Pokemon, whether it be Dialga or Palkia, depending on the game. I don't know what to tell you. There's worries, for sure. But there is also some good signs from these, little bits that we have seen. They're not trying to make this game to be like Let's Go. That was a big thing that people were speculating back when, was were they going to make all remakes into Let's Go games? It's not. And I think that's a good thing, because the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, while it was fun, had many issues. And overall, I do not think helped the franchise as a whole. Then also, Pokemon Go is a dying game, let's be honest. I'm sorry, Fluffy, but it's true. But some of the other things brought up, like Dynamaxing being in it or Mega Evolution being in it, it's sort of a... While we have seen how the side games spin-offs will take it, what the Diamond and Pearl remakes do now is going to set a precedent that's unlike some of the other remakes we've seen before. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire set the precedent that Mega Evolution, while not an original game, was entirely fine to be put into any remakes in the future. It's why we see it in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and why we see it in the Rescue Team games. At least that's my opinion. And then you go to see the Let's Go games, which, if it holds enough weight, sets a precedent that you don't need to focus on the story. You don't need to focus on the game being that decent as long as you release the game in some way that it's different enough to where people can't yell at you. Sure, the game may no longer make sense or whatnot, but just the thing is, Diamond and Pearl's remake is going to set big precedences. Let's say they add Dynamax. This means that the precedence will be that any game mainline remake that they make from this point on will always have whatever the big gimmick of that generation is. Whether they keep Dynamax or get rid of it. Whether they keep Mega Evolution or get rid of it. Even though Dynamaxing is only supposed to be available in certain areas, the fact that they could just easily throw this into the Sinnoh region in some way is what could be worrying. At least Mega Evolution, if say they were to add that, would set the precedent that Mega Evolution is okay and is something that is able to be universal enough to where they can add it. But then it brings up the question of, will they be able to integrate in a way where it works, like in Rescue Team, or where it's murky, like in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire? And let's say they didn't add either. What type of precedent will that send? Because we're at a point where Mega Evolution is just a part of Pokemon at this point, and Dynamaxing is still pretty big. If they don't have Mega Evolution, that could send a huge wave of what's the future for Mega Evolution. What will happen to, like, what will be the gimmick of the game if they don't have either of them? Because people are going to think that there's a gimmick to them. And it's just a whole thing of, there is more to it than just those, but those are the big things that come to mind for me. Because, think about it. What this game does is going to set precedences like that, or at least set them in stone, that some of the prior remakes have put into motion. Say, the original remake of Gen 1, its precedence was that you could make the game, make it better, add on to it, and keep going with it. Soul Silver, Heart Gold, those games added to that, made the precedence being that you can make these games expansive and make them not only loyal to their games, but almost like new experiences compared to the old versions. In a way where even if you played the original, you would love these games. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire changed the precedent to being that you can throw out the remake in a way where, while they may add some of the newer gimmicks, they won't care about adding new content otherwise. And it gets to a point where in that game it tells the same story beat by beat and doesn't add anything to it other than the Mega Evolution. So that precedent was then from adding content to not changing anything and just adding whatever the gimmick of the generation is. Then the Gen 1 remake was the one that's the whole everything is weird and wonky, and the precedents in that include continuing the adding gimmicks while not adding new stuff, but also added the precedent that you can make a remake of a remake and it'll be fine. You're not going to have to worry about how you treat the game. And that's why what precedences this game takes what this game makes and what this game does, it's going to be big. It's going to make waves. It's going to be what decides if the Pokemon Company goes uphill or downhill when it comes to remakes in the future. Come on up. It's also why I really hope that this game goes well, because if they do, I would be more confident in how people want an Explorers remake for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Because that, like, with how Rescue Team was huge at the time, Explorers of Sky is still considered the biggest game for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And so, a lot of people would love a remix of or a remake of that game. But if the precedents set by the Diamond and Pearl remakes become negative, you can take these games, these old games people love, and just throw it together, and people will love it, and you can add whatever gimmicks you want. That'll make it to where people not only hate the remake, but you're going to divide the community. You're going to make people hate these games and lose faith in modern stuff. It's why I'm glad that Rescue Team was a very well put together game, despite some of the things I might have issue with, like the auto mode and how easy it is, all that stuff. Because it shows a glimmer of hope in what otherwise is a very not hopeful me. Because, oh boy, if the Explorers remake did come out one day and it was bad, oh boy, Mystery Dungeon as a whole would just fall apart. It would be worse than Gates to Infinity, because at least Gates to Infinity had a excuse. That being that while it was also a Pokemon game that was coming to 3D, it also used its own assets and all that stuff. And so it's worrying. Also, Gates to Infinity came out before Gen 6, so there is that excuse of making models. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where no matter what, there's going to be worries, there's going to be fears, things are going to go wrong, hopefully things go right as well. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. I may as well wrap up for the day, because I'm done putting this thing together and I went through all this. The only thing I could do is if I were to actually take these and put them into the binders, which I might not even really do tonight. So yeah, hope everyone's enjoying their night and all that stuff. I'm going to just end stream for the moment, and hope you're all well.